It is now my great pleasure to invite Professor George Magoha, who is the Cabinet Secretary for Education and he served as the Vice Chancellor of this university. Welcome, Professor Magoha. God is good, and all the time, my very good friend and benefactor, Chancellor Dr. Prof.George, who is a renowned philanthropist. She's a renowned academic philanthropist, and I think that must have had something to do with her being appointed here at the university. Dr. Julia Ojambo, who has a double role. She was married to a physician like me, but you know her other life also. Isaac Awundo and the members of the Alumni Association. I'm glad to say that you are present in the council that used to run the university when I was there, and I benefited tremendously from your industrial link. My good friend, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi, Professor Magitahi, the University of Nairobi Council, most of whom, especially those who are in the pension scheme, I know them quite well. University of Nairobi community, graduates and your families, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I want to speak candidly and start from a point which was mentioned by Dr. Julia Ojambo, and then I will expand to the other universities. It is of course true that University of Nairobi is the gold standard. That is not an aspiration. The University of Nairobi is the gold standard. So, when a Vice Chancellor, your problem is to maintain it there. And for that reason, Madam Chancellor, I would want to state without any fear of contradiction that we have to ask ourselves, what makes the University of Nairobi the gold standard in East Africa? What makes the university the gold standard? And I think the answer is known to all of you. It is the faculty. The faculty in the first place has to be excellent. So whoever is running the university, and now it is Professor Stephen Magitahi, you must fall in love yesterday with your academic staff. Otherwise, there is nothing you are going to do that will go anywhere. You are a professor, I'm a professor, and you know how they think. Are we together here? Yes. So if you have issues, discuss them in the back room. In the back room, alone with them. Mkitoka nje mnaongea, you speak the same language. There are rules which are made by man. Those rules can be changed if your strategy is to ensure that University of Nairobi has to be the gold standard in East Africa. It didn't happen automatically, and I thank you for recognizing that. I did maybe 5% earlier. But I want to say this. It was about 10 years ago now, when in a ceremony like this, and Dr. Awundo will remember, that I promised the then Chancellor, Dr. Joseph Baraga Wanjuri, because now we were working in tandem. Originally, I was a man of letters, I was a man of business, and we were not understanding each other. But when we started working together, having known the importance of the industry in running of a university, I promised him, because Makerere was a nuisance to us, complete nuisance. And we said, no, we must beat Makerere. We started from that trajectory. And Makerere used to be about number 14, 15 there. But the following year, I told him, before I retire as Vice Chancellor, the University of Nairobi must be among the first 10. among the 1,500 universities in Africa. And it required the work of every academic staff member and every non-academic staff member working in tandem. And the secret to that success was that everybody's opinion was important, including the ones who will tell you you can go to hell. Even that one is important. You don't discountenance, because you know as well that I had a principal in my management at the top who always told me to go to hell. It did not stop us from going where we are going. So my advice to you as a friend and a leader, it is not a faint-hearted person that can run the university at this time. There are many advisors who will come to you with conceited ideas. You have to know how to filter them, because before you advise somebody, you must have the knowledge to advise. If you don't know, how then do you advise? If you don't know and you have not been there. That's what I learned. 90% of my advisors were advising for their stomachs. But our fidelity to this university requires that you first of all identify and safeguard. And I'll use the idea. I hope she doesn't get offended. Professor Patricia Kameri-Bote, who, for whatever reason, we had discordance, and she went to Strathmore College. She went to Strathmore University. Can somebody guess how many years it took me to personally persuade her to come back? Because I was basically running the law school myself as the vice chancellor, because the law school was difficult, and if there are lawyers here, they can remember that. So after so many lunches and a lot of jilting, eventually Professor decided to come back. Now, Professor Kiama, if you go to the law school, you will find that at that time there were maybe PhDs which are not even 5. Now I think they must be over 40. That's what you must do. I don't have to like you. You don't have to like anybody. You measure them with what they can give you. And my second point, which you don't have to take, is this. Personally, it took me 22 years of teaching to become a professor. And if I add another 20 now, you can guess my age, but if I'm giving a class on cancer of the prostate, for example, I use 14 publications which I have given as an example to the students who are new. So you can never compare me with the neophytes, even if they are computer experts. This is what you must understand. And to buttress this point, and I hope, Madam Chancellor, you are listening, because you are the head of the university. His Excellency the President took me for a training in Harvard University as soon as I became a minister. And then I found we were 40 ministers from Africa, Caribbean, and Asia. Ministers of Education and Health. The most hardworking professor there, we used to start at 6 o'clock and come back at 8:30 at night. So we had breakfast there, lunch and dinner there. And you come back with homework which you hand over in the morning. The reason I'm using this example, if you like, you can take it. If you don't like, with all due humility, you'll be shooting yourself in the foot. Was somebody who was 87 years. He was a top grade advisor to Tony Blair. And I remember the guy used to give us homework at 8:30 when we were going. We bring the homework in the morning. We are 40. He will write 2-3 pages on each of them. And he will give you the answers. In this university, there are professors like that. If you look around, you will see them. They are not young. Some of them, people will tell you, no, so. This one now has reached 72. He's not helpful. If you care to check, Madam Chancellor, you will find that that professor is doing 3 or 4 times the work of the younger one. So for the university to remain a gold standard, look for oil and oil all these professors. Otherwise they will fly. And since you only have 10 years to be VC, you have no time to produce others. Are we together here? But you don't have to take my advice, except that, why do I qualify to advise you in public? I visited over 250 universities everywhere in the world. And I can tell you that when Joe Wajui had also forced me more or less to go to Stanford, some of my teachers were over 87 years. So I think a professor should be judged by the output of his work, not just research work. We don't have trainers. That's what I have in the country now. We don't have trainers. Don't allow the trainers to go away. Who is going to train the new stars that you are looking for? You tell me. And since we are the gold standard, we already have them. So what we might do is to tell them to go. Others are looking for them. And we'll take them with a good bosom. This is a challenge to the council chair, chancellor, and vice chancellor, and also the university community. In the Senate, Professor Kiama, you used to be there when I was there. Was I ever arrogant there, inside the Senate? I couldn't afford to be arrogant inside the Senate, because I needed to carry the professors and the senators with me. Yes. So, having said so, as I address the other universities now, University of Nairobi is the gold standard, but for the other universities to look like the University of Nairobi, they must have certain criteria that are fixed, that are transformative, because you now have professors in certain universities, Professor Kiama. When you challenge them in their area of interest, they have nothing to say. So we are running the risk of professors, people saying they are professors of something, and now you can actually gauge. Chair of Council, there are professors who may have printed 100 papers, and none of them has been quoted by anybody. So those are not professors. But we have professors. We have them. Review them. The ones who are already old and stale, who cannot use their brain, allow them to go. The productive ones, age is just but a number. Because me, I'm running like a turbocharged machine. When I am relieved of my job, my first call is going to be here. If you don't want me, just open your eyes and watch. It is true, because you are not going to shut me down. I still have another 10 years. Are you going to say, oh, I should go and start looking after the cows in Kisumu? So that is with a tongue in the cheek, but it is from a family that is telling you the truth. So, dear, otherwise I want to agree with you that you are on the right trajectory. You will attract excellent students